Hello and welcome to a live version of what we call Relationship Radio. We are glad that you're with us on this live event. We have some very special guests. Oh, I guess I should introduce myself. I'm Dr. Joe Beam with Marriage Helper. And right here, this wonderful looking couple, this handsome couple right here, who now live in Florida, but started off in what we call Uruguay and you call
Uruguay.
I still can't pronounce that correctly, no matter how many times I try. This is Marcos, which half the time I call him Mario, but this is Marcos.
O Carlos.
And this is Elisa over here. And like I said, they live in Florida now, but they also help us at Marriage Helper. They do some great things for us, including leading our Spanish division, which is just fledgling, just getting started now. So welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Now, notice that we have advertised that you guys are going to be gut level honest and tell everything all about your story. So that should be lots and lots of fun, right?
Yeah, definitely. Can we say it in Spanish too?
Are we allowed to call 911?
It won't help. Okay. And so for you guys who are watching, if you would like to ask questions of them, now hopefully toward the end we'll have time for questions, and you can write your questions in the chat. And our great engineer and producer, Jason, will be going through those and picking out some that we can answer toward the end. So at whatever point you wish, you can start writing those down. Okay, to begin with, what year did you first get married?
I like that you first get married. We got married June 2nd, 2000, year 2000.
Year 2000, okay.
Yes.
And I'm going to lead you up to where you start talking, but I'm just going to get you there kind of fast. And so 2000, and then you were married for how long before the real troubles started?
2 years before real trouble.
2 years. So
About that.
what kind of trouble started in 2 years?
You want to go?
Communication, there was one. Another one was I felt that he did not love me. So we moved to the U.S. that same year that we got married. And as newlyweds, had a baby, moved to a new country where we did not know anything about. He started working a whole lot.
So did you feel that he didn't love you before you moved or after you moved?
I will say after. I will
Okay.
say after.
So it wasn't like, I don't love him or I don't think he loves me, but I'll move with him anyway. That wasn't the situation.
It wasn't the situation, no, because we were still in the honeymoon stage when we moved here. So we moved to the U.S. 2 months after we got married.
Oh, pretty quick.
Yes.
And then how long after that before you started feeling unloved?
It was probably about the 2-year mark. Yeah. He was working quite a bit to fulfill that American dream that we came here for.
And so the reason you felt unloved was because he didn't have time for you?
Yes.
Was that the primary reason, or were there other things as well?
He has never been very much of a touchy feeling person like I am. So that's probably one of the reasons why I felt like, I don't think this guy loves me.
If I may, we grew up in completely different households. In her house, they will cry and hug and cherish each other like all the time. When I started dating her and I start getting to know the family, it was like, yucky, this is way too much for me. I grew up in a household that it was just a set of task. And my mom, which was a single parent, I don't remember her ever saying, I love you to me. And I grew up thinking that showing affection was a sign of weakness. And I could not show sign of weaknesses, to anybody. I grew up super poor. It was barely food on the table. It was nothing to do besides school and task and cleaning and this and that. It was no fun in my household. It was tough. And my mom was super rough with me too. I always been quite a rebel, and she started beating me up earlier, into my 3 or 4 years old. I remember her going down on me with a belt, throwing me in the tub, cold water, and kind of like terrorist drowning style thing sometimes. It was tough. So I grew up as a tough kid. And we came into the marriage, and yes, I started working a ton, But maybe before that, we came to the marriage, and I was this already made up guy. I'm 11 years older than her. When we married, I was 26, she was 15. By the way, it's legal in my country. Gotta say that.
Yeah, don't freak out over that.
Don't start calling
This was
911 on me.
Uruguay, or again, pronounce it
Uruguay.
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 Was I even close?
Yes, you were very close.
Amazing. That'll be
Yes.
the only time. All right. So you got married, and she was still relatively young. So if you grew up in such a household that was so distant, how did you know that you loved her?
Honest answer, we say, right? I don't think I love her when I married her. I honestly was having I always have a whole lot of trouble getting attached to people. I'm very dismissive about sharing information
So why did you marry her?
because she got pregnant. And it was the right thing to do.
Okay, so you were a man of honor.
Yes.
Okay, I got her pregnant, therefore I'm going to marry her, even though I don't love her. What kind of a future did you anticipate together?
It didn't matter to me. It was, I have a couple girlfriends before. When they start liking me too much, I used to just, okay, let's end this.
You didn't want to be exposed emotionally. You didn't want your emotions exposed.
No, definitely not.
Okay.
I'm like the guy who hides behind a wall and shows a version of himself that I think people will accept.
I see.
I was that forever. And I brought that into my marriage.
Were you letting anybody see who you really were?
No.
Okay. All right, so you're 2 years into the marriage and you feel he does not love you, which he just said he didn't. Okay, so then what kind of troubles came from that?
Well, I started having affairs.
2 years into the marriage?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And of course, that was here in America.
Yes. Yeah. So I was going to school. I was in high school. I started school. So that kind of like opened, I guess, doors and things. And I'm super extremely friendly, always been. So that kind of did not help the case. He wasn't much at home or, spending time with us. And not an excuse, of course, but yeah, that was one of the things that started happening. I had a lot of freedom, tons of freedom. Yeah.
Okay. So was it what we call a limerent affair or
The
affair of convenience?
The first one was a limerent affair.
A limerent affair.
Yeah.
First one. Okay.
Yeah.
How long did that one last?
About a year. Yeah, about a year.
And how did it end?
Pretty bad. Well, the person left. It was an immigrant too, and he ended up leaving the country also. So he just went back, and that's how it ended.
Okay.
Yeah.
During that affair, did you have any idea it was occurring?
Not at all. The guy actually became my only friend. He started preferring both of us. We started going out together. And we were in New York back then, and her family was in Atlanta. And when she used to go to Atlanta very often to visit her mom and her sisters, I will just go out with this dude. And I remember him, like, we going to the beach, and he will show me good-looking girls. Say, hey, do you like that? And I was like, no, man, no. I'm not looking at anybody. I was trying to play the part like I'm a husband, I'm the right guy. And I didn't know that he was trying to play me to see where I was emotionally or something. But yeah, I didn't found about that until 2005, though, 3 years after he left.
3 years later, after it was over.
Yes, and she confessed it because I found her with another man. And what she was trying to do, according to her back then, she was trying to forget that first guy with other people.
So how long between the first guy and the second guy?
It was about a 3-year period, I'll say.
Okay. And you were still mourning him after 3 years?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It was more like an obsession.
And it ended abruptly where you didn't have closure, et cetera. I
Yes.
understand that. And so in the second affair is when you discovered it. How did you discover it?
2005, there was a letter back then. They still like cell phone stuff. They are infant, so there was a letter that I come across. And they were like, he was saying something. Remember that night in the marina, and I was like, okay, hold on, what is this? So I started questioning, and I'm really good at questioning. I should be in the FBI or something. So I came down hard on her, and she started exposing everything about the first guy. at that point, I felt like I didn't want nothing to do with her. But then my brother actually convinced me to stay in the marriage. My brother was going through trouble with his wife, which actually his wife, ex-wife,
was my sister. Well,
Yes.
is my sister. But, yes.
Okay, so you two brothers married sister.
yes,
Okay.
small town, correct. And
What was that last word I didn't hear?
small town.
Small town. Very small.
I dated her cousin before marrying her, everything within the family. So I reconciled. Okay, I said, I'll take you back. She was very sorry. I'll take you back. That was 2005. But I was totally resentful. And it went really downhill on me and me trying to show emotions to her after that. I got really cold and distant and bitter. And every time that I could bring out to her attention what she did to me, I will.
Did I hear you say beat her?
Bitter, like bitter.
Bit her.
Excuse my English.
Because I was thinking, if you beat somebody, I don't think they'd get up.
No,
I would not be here probably.
He's a big, strong man. I told my wife Alice the other day, I said, if I ever get in trouble, I want Marcos with me.
you may.
Unless I'm in trouble with Marcos.
Right.
And then I'd be in big
That's not
trouble.
a good case.
Okay, so were you punishing her on purpose?
Yes, Beverly was abusing her quite a bit. Mentally, as far as making her feel that she was less than me. I did that systematically on purpose.
And how long did you punish her?
Until I found that, the first time until I found out she was cheating with me again. That was 2010.
Okay, so you wound up divorcing in 2012.
10.
Oh, in 2010. Okay, I got confused there then. Oh, you remarried in 2012.
Yes.
Okay, so 2010, what was the final straw that led to the divorce?
I went out. I wanted out.
Like, I don't want to live in this. This is cold.
No,
He doesn't
yeah.
love me.
Because I have multiple affairs. And so I knew that wasn't me. I figured there was something wrong with me at that point. Because, I couldn't keep doing that. But that's just not me.
So why
I was
were you doing it then?
looking for something.
I agree. I know you well. It's not you.
Yeah.
So why were you doing it?
I was looking for something. I was looking for attention. He had convinced me too that I was looking for that prince, the movie prince.
The Blue Prince, I call it.
The Blue Prince, he calls it.
So they were searching for a fantasy.
Yes.
And what you felt is that you were looking for acceptance.
Yes.
Somebody who cares about me demonstrates that.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Now, obviously, it does not justify an affair, but it certainly, you can understand how it could lead to an affair.
Yes.
So which one divorced? Which one started the
I did.
divorce? Okay.
I found out about that affair and on the act, a bad call. And so I called her right away. Me being who I am, I forced her to sign some paper right there, right then, that day that I found the affair. Or I will expose this guy, which he was married, guy well known in the community, who was a cop. So I said, I'm going to make his life miserable. I'm going to make your life miserable. Sign this. So I made her sign. Basically, it's her saying, I will divorce you and you can keep the kids and you do that. I had everything already drafted in half an hour on a piece of paper.
At that point also, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I felt like I did not deserve anything because I felt pretty bad about myself.
So you even felt you didn't deserve the children.
The children.
So you were punishing you.
Yeah.
Were any of your affairs based on you punishing you?
Say that again?
Were any of your affairs basically coming from a need for you to punish yourself?
That's a very good question. I never thought about that.
Okay. Well, you don't have to answer it right now.
Yeah.
Just think
I'm a
about
processor, just letting you know.
it. You can process it. Because while you're looking, when you keep saying, that wasn't me, and I believe that wholeheartedly because I know you, it's like, okay, why would you keep doing it if it's not you? Even if you were craving affection, admiration, acceptance, those things, sometimes there's a part of that is, since I see myself as no good, I'm going to prove to myself that I'm no good by continuing to do things that I believe are no good. Does that sound anything like what you were doing?
It sounds pretty like what I was doing.
Okay. So, you're divorced in 2010. What happened then?
My mom happened. I think I have a very rough relation with my mom through all my childhood. I didn't speak to my mom for about 5 years until I was 20. For 15 to 21, I didn't speak to my mom. Eventually, my brother also convinced me to go speak to her, and that was the first time I remember in my life that she said two things to me, which is the first one, I'm sorry. The second, I love you.
Wow.
First time ever. I was 21. And since then, I forgive her because it was my mom, because we have some chat, and I knew all the evil that she did towards me, all the damage. It was not intentional. Even if it was bad, I really believe that she was trying to do the best she could. So we started having a good relationship with my mom. So when I'm getting divorced, I call my mom. And my mom swear to me never come to America again. Because like 2 years prior, she got lost in the transfer flight in Miami, and she swore not to come back. I called her on Monday, and she was here on a Thursday.
Okay, so
3
she
days
said,
she was
I'm
here.
never coming back again, but when you needed her,
She was here, but she said, son, I'm gonna go and see you, but we're going to church. I said, okay, whatever, ma. That's fine. I grew up in a church, Pentecostal, and then I moved out and rebelled against my mom, God, church, everybody. So I was agnostic at best. I knew something was out there, but I didn't like the guy. So we started going to church. And for 3 months, she stayed with me for 3 months. We started going to church for 3 months. And then she leaves. On the day she leaves, she tells me, remember that God can take care of you. And I was like, whatever, man, fine. So I fought with God for a couple weeks after that. And we don't have time to the miracle that happened to me then, but God showed me that week that he could take care of me. It's a pretty cool story for another day. And so I went back to church a week after my mom left, and I gave my life to Christ because of that. And that was a Sunday, and on Monday morning I woke up like, I want my family back. I just want my family back. I don't care.
so you committed yourself to Christ, as you say, on a Sunday.
Yes.
And Monday, you were different.
Yes.
You felt different. You wanted different things.
I don't know how different I was. I don't think I was so much different, but I had that desire
Yeah.
for family.
Okay. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
And so what happened then?
I started trying to befriend her. I bought a book of like an agenda that you can go through in 40 days. Then I started calling her and say, hey, you want to do this with me and stuff like that.
Like a devotional type of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And she was completely out of it. But we start kind of like, not dating, but we started talking. And eventually, about 6 months later after that, we start dating again.
So when he first started calling, how did you feel about that?
I was kind of like, leave me alone.
Okay. And so why don't you keep talking to him?
I'm a family person. I love to be married. I don't think I always tell him, if you die, I'll probably remarry because I don't like to be by myself. I love the marriage structure. I love to be married. So that's one of the things that I miss a whole lot. I was about 7 minutes away from the house where my kids were, and I was there all the time.
I see.
I could not leave without my kids.
So while you were single, did you continue that affair lifestyle?
No, I didn't.
Interesting.
I dated a person, but yeah, that was it. But
But you had changed even after the divorce.
yeah,
Your lifestyle had changed.
I don't know that much. I don't know. I'll probably.
But your lifestyle, you said, had been affair
Yeah,
to
but
affair.
I was still, because I had the freedom that I didn't have before, I guess. So I was going out, I love dancing, so I started going out dancing and things like that. But I was a lot better than I will say before on that aspect. So, but I had the freedom. But I miss the marriage life quite a bit.
Okay.
She looked way better. She looked happier. She looked glowing, not gloomy. Yeah, and I was like, yeah, she's much better without me, that's for sure. But I'm going to try anyways. And I called her for a while until I felt like out of hope because she was not giving me any signs. So I stopped. I said, okay, whatever. And then I start dating. But I date like 3 different people. I could not emotionally connect. So I will go out like 2-3 times and no, 2-3 times and no. I was like a hurt cat, that going like in the corner. And all of a sudden, one day I'm dating this girl. We are playing pool somewhere, and she shows up. And out of nowhere, she asked me, "Hey, I want you back." I was like, "All right."
Wait, I'll make sure I heard that right. You went in there and said, "I want you back."
Pretty much, yeah. And it was about 6 months, you said, into it?
6 months after I stopped, or no, a few months after I stopped courting you.
Yeah.
So you were trying to get her back, and you finally stopped.
It's like we're playing games. I don't know.
Emotions are a weird thing.
It is. Yeah, they
and
are.
so what
Definitely.
made you decide, or was it just an impulse?
No, it wasn't. I miss the family unity. I miss, being at home with the kids, being at home with him. I mean, even though, it has been tough. I could see that he had changed a bit. He was not so cold anymore. And I'll say I fall for it.
You fell for it.
It was kind of fake. I was trying to do whatever it takes.
And so what did you say when she said, "I want you back"?
I went back upstairs to the pool hall, and I told the lady I was dating, "You got to go home." And
Did you take her home or just leave her there?
No, she left. I didn't took her home.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm horrible.
She left. Okay.
She left.
All right. She left. And you did what when she left?
Well, we chat on the same place for hours, and then we start dating. We started dating, and I say immediately, we got to get remarried. We got to marry again. So that was way short before we just went in front of my pastor, and we got married. And that was 2012, February 25th.
And so you'd been apart about a year and a half and divorced about a year and a quarter or something like that? Okay. So you're in the second marriage. How long before the troubles start now?
For me, I changed back to me being a workaholic. I've been drawn to different addictions through my life. Like gambling was a big one.
What was that?
Gambling.
Gambling.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I have to always be addicted to something. And I thought that work was the safest bet, the healthiest thing. So I used to work like 110 hours a week, easily.
Wow.
I will wake up 4:45. By 5, I will be in my desk working already, and I would not stop until night. So I went into this time frame where I will come home 8:30 after working all day, and my attitude was like, just give me a beer and get out of my way. Just let me provide for you guys. I thought from 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16 that if we could be better off than last year, financially, somehow everyone will be okay.
I see.
That if I can give her everything she needed, if I can give my kids everything they needed, they were in good private schools. She has basically everything she needed. We live in a humongous house, way too much. We got everything there. I have 2 coaches for my little guy who played tennis. I mean, we were doing everything for everybody. I was a family man. Besides giving her time or affection or anything else.
I understand.
I date her. I see myself like I never liked dancing. I never liked going out. I'm not that outdoorsy guy or extrovert guy at all. So I always look at dating like hunting. You go hunting, once you got your prey, just rest.
Unfortunately, I think a lot of people think that way. May I make a point here based on what Marcos just said? Because I know there are any number of people across the world, not just here in the USA, but across the world, either the male or the female, who thinks that if I can just provide my family with this, being financial security, prestige, social position, whatever it might be, then my family is going to be happy. And yet, Marcos just hit it right on the head. They still don't have you. And so you can give them everything. So, Elisa, how long did it take you to wonder if you'd made the right decision about getting married again?
I will say about 4 years.
Okay, so
So I started. We started back. He's about 2 years after he started kind of the same things that he was doing before, the working, the not being there, being cold again. I could see that he still had resentment towards me about the affairs.
I have issues, not resentment.
Yes.
So when did the real problems, I mean, I'm not saying those are not real problems, they were, but when did you go into the second major problem era?
2017.
And what happened?
Go ahead.
Oh, 2017, I found out that he was having an affair. And that, I always kind of had it in the back of my head, thinking, oh my gosh, he may do something. But he's such a man of word that I was like, no, I don't think he can do it. Because he has such a strong will that if he says something, he does not do it. So he had an affair, and I felt awful because I made him have that affair. In my mind, it was like, I made you have that affair. If I would have not had my affairs, he would have never cheated on me. That was my thinking.
So you revert back to thinking that you're the bad guy.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. So we find that out. We recovered. We were fine. But he was, after the affair, we started again and, going back to normal and things like that. But he was still the same. He was still cold towards me.
Okay, to make sure I understand. You had was it limerence or convenience?
No, it was not limerence. The background to that is, since we remarried, I was so resentful about what she has done to me that this is the part of the brain that is messed up. Every time we have, let's say, if I can say this, every time we have sex, I will wait until she fell asleep. I will go to my bathroom or whatever downstairs, watch porn. I got addicted to porn. Watch porn, and I have to jerk myself. I don't know if I can say it. I mean, I said it.
He said it.
It was, I felt dirty every time I was having sex with her. And I was in because of the family again. I was just like, again, I lost love for her. I lost respect for her. But I was in because of the family, because of what is right to do and all those kind of things.
If you don't want to answer this question, feel free not to. So you were not being sexually satisfied when you were having sex with her?
I was.
But then you still wanted to go find
But I
her.
felt dirty about it.
Felt what?
Dirty.
After you had sex with her, and
During some time I would feel that. After, definitely I will feel that. I needed to do it, but when I did it, I felt bad about doing it.
I'm talking about having sex with your wife.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so why? Why did you feel dirty?
Because she has been in bed with other men.
So what was the porn for?
What was it?
What was the porn for? If you'd already been sexually satisfied, why the porn?
Feel like I was cheating back at her somehow.
So you,
When
so
I
by
had
doing
my
that, in a way, you were punishing her even if she didn't know.
yeah, when I had my affair, I had been thinking for about over a year. I have to do this. So it was tactically built. I have to do this. So I started trying to look for. We are in the real estate business, so we have a bunch of rentals, and I start to look within my rentals for a lady who will not get attached to. Number one, didn't have a husband or anything that was responsible for. Number two, and it will be in my name, in my thinking, easy enough for me to go have sex with her and get this out of the way. I wanted to have sex with somebody else.
Yeah. That's known as a high opportunity, low involvement affair. Sometimes I just call it a convenience affair. Okay. And so you plotted that out. You thought it out in advance, like these criteria, et cetera. Sometimes we call that one, that particular one, a vengeance affair. Okay.
I think that's what it was.
Okay. All right. So now we're back to the fact that you're making love to each other, but you feel dirty and you're using porn to somehow punish her, even though she doesn't know you're using porn. All right. So you guys went out separating again. What led to that?
My affair.
You had another affair. Okay. And was that because your vengeance toward him?
No, I was alone again. So again, his affair I thought, okay, well, now I said, how many more affairs are you going to have to be even? Because we're not going to be even ever. You know, it's not about being even or not even at this point, because you're going to have a lot more affairs to be even with me. But I thought, okay, let's start from, we both screw up. Let's start from, scratch. Let's work this out. We didn't look for help. We were just trying to, just the two of us do it. So after the affair, he stayed the same way as far as cold, as far as, not. And my friendly self always opening doors that should not, get open. I met this guy at the gym, and, we were just friends. We're not even friends. I mean, we'll see him, we will talk. And it lasted for about 1.5 years until we started having the affair. And I fall into a limerent affair again.
It was a limerent affair.
Yes.
Okay. And how long did that one last?
3 years.
3 years. Did you know about it?
Yeah, I found out 2 months into her affair.
And so what did you do?
Okay. The first thing I did right after finding out is contacted the guy. I told the guy that I'm going to break all his legs and make his life miserable. He didn't budge for that. Then I tried to control her, and I told her a bunch of stuff. We were going to church. We were Christians. I do Christians like this for that. I told her, you will burn in hell for what you're doing. I told her, do you think that you can live without me? I'm everything you got, everything that we have, I'll make it. So I will try to inflict fear in her about leaving, try to make her feel less. You will be nothing without me. I say those words too. If you leave me, you're nothing. And I will make sure that you're nothing, that you stay nothing. So I tried that. I control all my life through my marriage. I have humongous controlling issues, and they were really out of the box during the first 2 months. But she was done. She was not reacting to any of that. She was not being intimidated anymore. And I think the limerence was feeling that too. I have an escape route. I have something that's going to make me happy now. So I started going online, trying to find help. I found you guys. My third. I talked to 2 different companies before calling and talking to Mark Highland. And then he sent me some videos. You were there. We were shooting boys, and I listened to them. All right. I was like, let's try this.
Okay, a couple of questions very quickly before we move into that part. You threatened the guy, and it didn't bother him.
Well, he denied having an affair with my wife.
I see.
He said we were only friends. He say I'm friends with the family. I say, yeah, you're not friends with me.
Okay.
So.
All right. And so you kind of reverted to the pattern that you grew up with when you were small. Control. Punishment. Like your mom did. Now, you have already said you forgave your mom, that you believe she did the best she knew how to do. In all likelihood, she learned that from somebody else, her mom, her dad, somebody. And then you learned it from her. And now you're trying to use it, and folks, whenever you try to control another person and think this is going to fix everything, this is going to solve everything, be aware that control just embitters the other person. Nobody wants to be treated as if they have no choice. We want to have that. It's called self-determination in psychology. I want to be able to make my own decisions and reach my own conclusions, etc. And when I'm denied that, eventually I rebel. And your rebellion, not just in affairs, but your rebellion in what Marcos just said is no reaction at all, finally.
Yeah.
Just cold.
No. And the part that I had pretty much the whole family backing me up with an affair.
Your family or his family?
His family and my family.
Both families. Even your brother?
Even my brother and my sister. The only 2 people on my side was my mom and her mom. The rest of the family were on her side. Our mutual friends and her friends were all on her side. Our 2 kids that they knew about it. We had 3 kids. The youngest one, we tried to keep it away from everything, but the 2 others one knew about it, and they were telling her, "Mom, skate now. Get the hell out of here."
So did they feel controlled by you as well?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. So then you finally contacted us and saw some of our videos. So what happens next?
At that point, I'm still trying to control the situation. Okay, I'm not doing it out of the goodness of my heart. I'm trying to find who can change my wife. I took her to see our pastors and stuff like that, and she cried and she said, "I'd rather be dead with this guy." That's what she told our pastor back then. So I started brainstorming with Mark ways to ask her should she could say yes. She said no 3 times before she said
to the worship.
to come to the worship, and she said no 3 times before she said yes. And the 3rd time I say 2 things. One was like, okay, the good part was like, this is gonna help us even if we don't make it together. It's not about us anymore. It's about parenting correctly, and I want to try to learn how to do that right with you. That was a good part. And then the second part, I told her, if you do this with me, I'll let you out of your cage. I'll let you free.
Let you out of your
Cage.
cage. Okay. You didn't actually put her in a real cage, did you?
No, it was. I have the idea though, but
All right. So why did you agree to come?
Because I feel bad, and because I wanted to see how we can be better parents for our kids.
Okay. And this was what year?
2018.
2018. So you came to one of our workshops. Where did we do that workshop?
here
Thompson
in
Station Church.
Thompson Station Church, okay. That's before we had our own buildings, and so we rented churches and anything else we could get. Okay, and did I lead that workshop? Or did somebody else?
You
No.
did. You did.
The
he
first
did
one,
the
no.
first one. Oh. He
Oh, he did the first one, yeah.
he
And
did
Jimmy
the
did
first
the second one. My bad. Yeah,
Yeah.
you did.
Okay,
Yes.
so I led that workshop. I thought I did because I remember you telling an audience one time that when you met me, you did not like me.
Yeah.
I actually forced her, I remember, I actually forced her to go talk to you on Saturday.
It was a question that I had because it said that I wanted to be with this guy, and I'm like, no, I don't want to be with this guy. Like, what is this? Why do I like?
Oh, the ropes.
Yeah.
The want to.
the
She got too many
ought
want to.
And I'm like, I don't want to. So I went to talk to you, and you said, and yeah, I like you then because you said in a very sweet voice, give us the whole weekend, please. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna respect that. Thank you very much.
Okay. How long between the first workshop and the second workshop?
5 months and 3 days.
Okay. Why the second workshop?
Why? And that was the first time that she hinted to me that it could be a possibility of working a reconciliation between us. So I told her, okay, let's go and do it again. Because the first time when we came, I spent Friday morning looking over my shoulder to see what she was doing. And she was basically texting under the table all the time. I felt like I had lost a ton of money for nothing because we left the same way that we came in.
Well, I left the same way that we came in.
Oh, yes, I did not.
How did you change?
I was transformed that weekend. I woke up Friday morning, and this is true story, walking 6 steps ahead of her. Go to Mark. Mark was there Friday morning, receiving, back then we used to have the CR receiving the people. And I'll say, oh, Mark, that's, I talked to you on the phone. Nice to put a face to the boys. Here she is, fix her. And that's what I said. And Mike smiled. And she told me like a year later, I was thinking that you have no idea what you're getting into. And I spent Friday morning just looking over my shoulder, and then Friday afternoon comes, and I start talking about hoarseness. And I start checking. Phew, phew, phew. And not only the statements, it's the way I have done that to her. Because it will read something, and the way I have done that to her was like 10 times that. And I checked the first 3, which is the one that you attack. I checked 29 out of 30. And I was proud of not checking the one in contempt I did not check, which is throwing her under the bus against friends. And that's because I have no friends. So I didn't have anybody to throw her under the bus with. That's why I didn't check out. And then I check on the stone wall, on the one that you hide, and I check 0. And I realize, I mean, I'm just a bulldozer. I mean, it's just throwing them. I mean, running over people all the time. And the same thing I did to her, I did with everybody else. My kids, my employees. We used to run a company with 50 employees. Everybody was scared of me.
You're a big man, and when you exert your will, it's pretty powerful. So what led you to want to come back to the second workshop?
His change?
From the workshop,
From
the first workshop.
Yes, from the first workshop. I knew I was doing the wrong thing, but I was in limerence, and it was extremely hard to stop it. It was very, very hard. So I was looking for ways, I think, to try to convince me. But his change was from day to night, from the moment that we left the workshop till he started working with a coach. It was impressive. I've never seen anything, and we've been with Marriage Helper for quite a bit now, and I have not seen such a change. Maybe I don't spend so much time with other people as I do with him, but
Yeah, we see that kind of change all the time, but understanding exactly what you're talking about. Oh, by the way, how did you find us?
Online.
Online.
Yeah, I key something like how to save your marriage or how to stand for your marriage. I don't know what I key, but
Okay.
I found you guys.
And so you guys reconcile and put things back together in a good way, and you're doing, I'm sure you're not doing it perfectly because nobody does,
Right.
but you're doing it well. Now, is that correct?
yes,
We are in a situation that I have never been before with anybody.
yes.
And that is not being in a relationship because I have to be, it's because I want to be. In my case, personally, I was never been in a situation like that before. And also the feeling of, I don't want to jeopardize this for anything. So I have to work on it. And I have to get rid of everything that may compromise what we have built. Because I really, really like what we have built now. So that's what I'm at mentally and emotionally.
Okay.
Definitely.
Now, by the way, it's a very powerful, powerful story. I even learned a couple of things that I thought I knew, but I didn't as we talked through this. So if you were going to specify how that workshop or we with our coaching, et cetera, because you coached with Melody for a while.
Yeah.
If specifically, what did Marriage Helper help you most with? Or at all with, either way.
You first.
Understanding who we are.
Good.
Yes, I got married at 15. I had no idea what I was doing, and I don't think most people know what they're doing, even if they're 40 when they get married.
I didn't know what I was doing. Yeah.
So definitely that's one. Understanding, like there were so many concepts that were like so new to us, like the horsemen. Like we have never heard about the horsemen. The disc profile, that was huge. We are so different on behavioral styles that we do. And I'm a very slow processor. He's a fast processor. Just understanding that part was huge in our communication. So there were many things, but I will say, understanding who we are as individuals, and then understanding my spouse. It was huge for us, I will say.
And for me, it was a completely different view too. Understanding that I am not who I thought I was. That's what it kind of like on the workshop, because I always say, okay, I used to say this to everybody, I can be rude, okay, I can be rough on the edges, but I'm straightforward, I'm shoot straight, I'm honest. That's what you get from me. And I will be proud of being an asshole. Can I say that word? Or being a jerk.
Said it.
You did it again.
I was proud of being a jerk. And I was just justifying everything behind, look, I'm doing everything the best I can for everybody, because what I think is best is much better than what you think is best or anybody else think is best. And I find out that section Friday morning about the wall, it kind of pictured me that I was not showing myself because I was a scary cat. In all these, made up, powerful men that everybody feared, it was a scary person behind it. And I was afraid to show it.
That's an amazing insight.
It was scary to find that out too.
Sure.
Like I say, I walk into that building completely prideful of myself. Even if I had cheated on her before, I had my reasons why. Mm-hmm. So I was justifying everything. I made my own rules and then I followed my own rules the way I see fit. That was Marcos 2018. And then by Friday afternoon, I was sitting on my butt on the hallway of that church with my hands between my face and saying, I'm a piece of it's that word. I'm a piece of crap. I have damaged everybody around me. It's like, the Russians retreat before the Nazis, just burning everything on their path. That was me. I was just burning everything in order to get my way.
Mm-hmm. As you said, it can be a very scary thing to look deeper inside yourself. But at the same time, it's so freeing. That self-revelation is amazing. I want to get to a couple of questions here, if we may. In the meantime, just let you folks know, not only are they together and doing well, they just this past weekend were part of a workshop that we did right here in Spring Hill, which is just south of Nashville, and you guys worked through that. Plus, they head up our new Spanish division. A couple of weeks ago, they were over on the Mexican border on the USA side, and 300 or 400 people who spoke Spanish?
It was 200 couples, about 400 people, and some singles too.
All right, 400 people plus some singles, in addition to the couples.
It was good enough that we didn't get deported.
Pardon?
It was good enough that we did not get deported. We were on the border, and they didn't throw us out of the country, so that was good.
They did wonderfully well. I don't speak any Spanish, but my wife and I were there and listened to it. And you say, you understand a word? No. But I was watching them, and I was watching the audience, and it was going wonderfully well. Those people over there fell in love with you guys. And so they now not only are helping people who speak English, they are now working on developing a whole division that will serve people who speak Spanish. Now, we got just a few minutes left. Would you guys be willing to answer some questions?
Sure.
Okay. Now, this is our producer, Jason.
Hello.
Jason, bring us a question, please.
Okay, so we have two things that I want to highlight. So the first question is from Andrew. He says, my wife's moving out in a month for separation/time apart. Not necessarily divorce. She's been very cold and distant. Are there any tips for trying to reconnect while she's still here before she moves out?
You want to answer that? She's the one moving out.
He's the one. Good.
Okay. Try not to do too much. That will be my answer. We tend, when we have deadlines that they're coming, and I have many deadlines with her, we tend to go back into control. Like, let me see, what can I do now in order to keep her inside the house? If it's one word I can say, if it's one thing I can do. And it's completely the opposite sometimes. It's allowing her to have that choice. If she feels, sometimes by guilt, if she feels that you are putting some guilt in her and she stays, she may do that. She may stay a little longer, but she will resent that eventually, and it will be backfire on you. So it's about steady, working on pulls that you can do, but not try to overdo them, and eliminate the pushes. If it's no pulls, like in my case, it was no pulls I could do. So I try to eliminate the pushes out of the way. And that could be not trying to keep her in the house if she has decided to leave. It's hard to do, hard to even think about it, but it works that way. If you allow the other person to have the choice to leave or stay with you, and they decide to stay, at least it's going to be their choice, and they're going to be willing to keep it a lot more than if you try to force it in any way, shape, or form.
I earned my PhD at the University of Sydney in Australia. Most of the population of Australia are around the coasts. You understand, it's a continent, and around the coast is where the population is. In the middle of Australia is basically a desert. But they do cattle farming out there. And unlike we in America, where we keep our cattle close by putting up fences where they can't leave, they don't do that in the outback. They dig a well. They make it where it's always water there, and the cattle won't leave because that's where sustenance and life is. So don't put up a fence. That's what Marcos was saying. Dig a well. Make it where she wants to be, where you are. By the way, I'll recommend to you and everybody else listening, these same principles that they learned that helped them revolutionize their relationship, and these are available to you. And we would recommend the first step to that is to become part of our membership. Let me just read a couple of things in there. Our membership includes access to all of our video courses and toolkits. Right now there's more than 10, and we keep adding to those. And also live support calls, exclusive webinars, special members-only discounts, and a community of people all working on the same marriages. And that's what it's like to be in our membership, where there are people that are helping you and you can ask questions of each other and all these webinars and things. Now, right now, I understand, I'm reading this off my sheet, so it must be right, that if you sign up right now, we'll give you 25% off of your first month of membership. And how do you do that? Marriage Helper, that's marriagehelper.com, YouTube Live. MarriageHelper.com, YouTube Live. Now, Jason, I see that U and T and L are capital. Do they need to be capital?
No, that doesn't matter. And they can also go and click the link that is pinned in the comment section right now as well to access that.
Excellent. Thank you. And we'd love for you to do that because that's a good place to start. So what's another question here, my friend? We have a few more minutes.
Yeah, so the last thing that we'll get to today is, it's not really a question, but this has been a kind of a theme throughout the chat, throughout the entire live stream, and it's several people who are saying that they feel they're feeling the pain of others that are in the chat, and that they feel like that God has told them to stand for their marriage, and that they're doing that their spouse wants out, and that they feel like God has told them to stand, and so that's what they're doing. That's their current situation. Is there any encouragement that you can give to those people who are standing for their marriage?
Both of you, each of you.
Yes, definitely. On my aspect of our relationship, God played a big part on everything. So there's a reason why we're together today, and one is Marriage Helper, and God put Marriage Helper in our way. So I'm glad that people are listening to this, and hopefully get more into Marriage Helper material, but. Yeah, God has a plan for sure. I knew I was doing the wrong thing, and that was, huge. It was hard to end limerence. I'm not sure what, everybody else's spouse is at. It may not be limerence. It may be something else, but definitely, stay close to God. And if God is telling you, to stay and fight for your marriage, then do it. With Marriage Helper, help will be much better, though.
Yeah. Oh, seek ye first the kingdom of God.
Yes.
And all these things shall be added unto you. So we don't compete with God. We work for God.
Yes.
And on my side, I have been very few times when I felt the act of God, not presence, the act of God in my life. I have prayed for a ton of things, and sometimes I was like, this guy must be sleeping. But when it came to marriage, I saw his actions in movement, in place. There were many times that she never left the house. 3 years of standing, she never left the house. She had luggage ready, and something will happen. God is not going to change her mind because we have free will. But it will put circumstances in place if you pray for it. And I was praying hardly for it with her mom and my mom. And there were circumstances there that were only supernatural. I was ready to quit about 3 times in my 2.5, 3 years stint. The first 2 times I talked to Melody. Melody told me something I tell everybody now. Make sure that you don't quit from a place of pain. Don't make your decision out of hurt. Make it out of peace. First 2 times, okay, I'm hurting. That's what I can't take it no more, so I'm going to take it because Melody says so. But the 3rd time, I was at peace. I was done. That was about 3 weeks. She decided to, the second D-Day that we had, the first D-Day when I found out about the affair, second D-Day is when she decided to cut it with the affair partner. And it was about 3 weeks, and I have no hope. I was done. I had tried everything. I have been standing for way too long. And I'm like about to text Melody. I'm going through my morning Bible reading, prayers, and stuff like that. I'm done, so I have the Bible in my hand, and I'm about to text Melody and say, you know what? I'm at peace today. I'm going to tell Elisa to leave the house. I'm going to help her out, move. And I throw the Bible on the bed. I'm in my ottoman here, and it bounces, and it just flips. And everybody who's not a believer want to say, well, if you throw the Bible on the floor, it's going to open up in the middle. They all want to say that. Yes, it opened up in the middle, but I grab it, and the first thing I post my eye on was Malachi 2:16. And Malachi 2:16 says, he who hates and divorces his wife does violence against he who he should protect. And I read that, and it was like, actually, my first reaction was, I look up and I say, really, man? Really? I'm ready. I'm done. And but he showed me that. He had backed me up many times, but keeping her in the house somehow. It was many things that happened. But at that time, he showed me. And I could not refute that. It cannot be coincidence. So another thing that Melody told me is like, when you cannot take it anymore, take it one day at a time.
One day at a time.
And I throw my Bible back, and I was like, okay, today, I'm not going to say nothing to Elisa today. The same day tomorrow, the same day happened for about 3 weeks, and she comes 3 weeks later and saying, I'm done, I'm still in love with the guy, I need closure, so I need to have this conversation with him, but I'm going to cut it off. And of course, at that point, like every other time that she confessed something to me, my controlling nature wanted to take over again and try, because I thought she's gonna go. She hasn't seen the guy in a month or two by then. She's gonna go see the guy and fall over again. But I grabbed myself, said, honey, I didn't say honey because I couldn't say honey back then. I say, you do what you need to do. I'll be here.
Good. That's strong. And if people are saying, well, wait a minute, my spouse might not want to come to your workshop or whatever because you guys are Christians, we are. We are, and we will never deny our Christianity. Yet our workshops are not based, our workshops are based on research, scientific, psychological, sociological research. It's always in harmony with Scripture. But we don't teach Scripture in the workshop if you're afraid of that for your spouse. But understand, we will never hide our faith. We believe that God is, that Jesus is his son, and that that's what it's all about at the ultimate confession. Thank you so much for being here. We've gone through an hour just like that.
I know.
I really appreciate you doing that. Thank you very much. And we hope you guys continue to look more into what we do. And maybe, just maybe, you'll wind up talking to one of these two when you ask for a coach. Have a good day.
See you guys.